The Moneyline Mac Top 25 for the first week in March edition on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Edge Boost. Earn up to $750 per month on your sports gambling transactions. Head over to edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm, the leader in data-driven picks and props. Rhythm is giving away a $200 future and throwing a March Madness party. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/party for details today. That is the sportsgamblingpodcast.com/party. Welcome, everybody, into the college basketball experience. Moneyline Mac Top 25 for the first week in March. The madness began. The A-Sun got kicked off tonight. Shout out to the Governors of Austin Peay on a comeback win. Shout out to the Central Arkansas Bears for a comeback win. Hope everybody tuned into those games and sign of things to come. Comebacks, great games, momentum swings. The madness was in full air. Can't wait for a chaotic month. And the Monday pick show will be after this Moneyline Mac Top 25. But let's dive into the Top 25. I just tweeted it out. So first off, I am Moneyline Mac, aka the former video coordinator for Bob Huggins and Frank Martin. Cheers, everybody. Hope everybody had a good weekend. And shout out to the chat, alive and well. Caleb and everybody asking about games. The pick show is following this. So we'll probably go live around 11:30, not 11:11. 11:30, 11:45, because we're never on time. So make sure you are subscribed and get the notifications. But yeah, Colby and I will be going live right after this. This is strictly the top 25. What I think the top 25 is headed into the first week in March. And, my opinion, and which means it's right, correct? So, all right, let's dive into it. Let me pull up my slide. First time. Did I get it right here? There we go. There we go. All right, so chaotic weekend in the sport. A lot of moving parts, a lot of team statement wins, a lot of team disappointing losses. So, a lot of teams have been banged up. So, much to unpack here. And it's a hard list to really have any consistency with. You're trying to gauge what teams have done in November, what they did in early January. Was there an injury that changed things? What they look like now? Oklahoma's a perfect example. They look like they were going to be a top 10, top 15 team. They might not even make the NCAA tournament, going 4-12 to start SEC play. So my best, I try to do as much as the whole resume altogether, but I also weight what you look like in your recent form, because in the end, recent form is what you're going to be headed into March. But I do know that some teams hit a little bit of a wall, if it's an injury bug, whatever it is. This is what I came up with my top 25, and I'll lead it off here with the team that I've been honest. I'm very critical of this coaching staff and this team. And it's Memphis, and they've been up and down. They've had a couple really bad losses, but big time win today going to UAB. Fell down by as many as 10 in the second half. Penny Hardaway and company, they're 24-5, 14-2 in the AAC. They're in the driver's seat headed into the final week to win that regular season title. That would be Penny's first regular season title. So Memphis, with what they did in the non-con, with wins over UConn, Sparty, Clemson, at Virginia, Ole Miss, you name it, they play. Winning against good competition has not been the problem with Memphis. The problem with Memphis has been playing down to their competition like Arkansas State, Temple, and Wichita. But 24-5, I think they warrant a spot in the top 25. So good win, Memphis fans, as you guys go for a regular season title for the first time in quite a while here this week. So shout out to the Memphis fans on this channel. At number 24, this team has been rolling. You could unpack I mean, you could chalk it up to, yeah, it's a shit league, but you have to tip your cap to Louisville. They are steamrolling teams. It feels like they beat everybody by double digits. They're 16-2 in the ACC. That's not a typo. So Pat Kelsey, year number one. They took some lumps in the non-con trying to find their identity. The prior injury, it took them a minute there, but Chucky Hepburn's playing at a high level. And Louisville, all you can do is play who's in front of you, and Louisville has done that and more. So I think they should be in the top 25. So I got them at 24. As they head into the final week, them and Clemson both hoping that maybe Duke could trip up against Carolina, so Louisville and Clemson could go in there and get a share of this ACC title. Both are only one game back at Duke, with Duke falling to Clemson. So Louisville 16-2. Yeah, I mean, you all you can do is beat the shit out of who's in front of you, and Louisville's done that. One of the best coaching jobs in the country so far this year has been Pat Kelsey turning Louisville from that joke that they were last year into an NCAA tournament team. Let's stay in the state of Kentucky, but let's go over to Big Blue Nation. Tough team to gauge. I mean, Kentucky's got great wins, the top 10 wins. I know all they did was lose to Auburn. I don't penalize you for losing to Auburn. They're the best team in the country. But Kentucky seems to be limping a little bit here, banged up. I know Lamont Butler's back, but how healthy is he really? It feels like this team has overachieved. That was a great win at Oklahoma. Otega Owe with the big-time win, big-time finish there to beat his former team. I like Kentucky. I like Mark Pope. I've been on record. I was a fan of the hire. I thought it was a great fit. He played there. He represents that Big Blue Nation brand. But I think this team has its limitations, and I think they're a bad defensive team. So I got them at 23, easily in the NCAA tournament. Nothing crazy. But this is just a solid team. It's not a championship or Final Four contender, but just a solid year for Mark Pope in year number one in Lexington with a lot working against him. At number 22, I got the BYU, or Mark Pope's former team, BYU. BYU has been another team and another model I've been critical of is the NBA model, but I think the size and athleticism and just talent can get this team above the finish line. Igor Demon is a lottery pick, and they have really bought into Kevin Young in year number one. They've won, 6 in a row now, and 10 out of 12. They found their identity. They're a freaking wagon in Provo. They got a big one in Ames coming up this week. BYU, it honestly is kind of a carbon copy of last year's BYU team, where they really peaked in February, got hot there in Big 12 play, found their identity. Saunders is great, and they just buy in and they play, and the pieces really fit here. So BYU, another team that's going to be dangerous come March. In year number one of Kevin Young. At number 21, let's stay in the Big 12, and that's the Arizona Wildcats. Arizona had a shitty non-con, but then they started red hot to start Big 12 play. 11-1. They have tripped up over here over the last couple weeks, losing 4 out of 6. But when you break it down, I mean, they lost in Ames. They lost a bullshit call against BYU. They lost a heartbreaker to Houston, and then they lost a tough game to K-State. So it's not like they were losing to the bottom tier teams in the league, and they were 11-1 headed into that stretch. The only thing that I don't like about Arizona is they are so Caleb Love or bust dependent. Okay, every possession just turns into a Caleb Love ISO. Hopefully he makes a big shot. They got good players on this team. I like Jalen Bradley. I like Trey Townsend. I like a walker around the rim. But Arizona just a little bit up and down recently. 21, I think, is a good spot for them, easily in the top 25. But I do have my questions on what they can do come March. All right, let's go over to the wagon of wagons, and that is, guys, if you don't watch the Big West, you're missing out on this UC San Diego team. This team has won 11 in a row, and every game has been been by 20 except for one game, and that was against Northridge this week, where actually Northridge played well, pushed them all the way to the wire. And this team shares the ball. They talking about a team that has an identity. This team shares the ball. They make shots from all 5 positions. They're really hard to guard. And in the non-con, they weren't a fluke either. They beat James Madison by double digits, who won the Sun Belt. They beat Toledo by 40. They went to Utah State, one of the hardest places to win in Logan, and they beat them. So this team isn't just a team a pretty little cute story in the Big West. They're a legitimate top 25 team. And if you're a high major and you're going to draw this UC San Diego Tridents team, good luck. This is a tough ass matchup. Just because of their unique style of play where they spread you out from all 5 positions, make shots. Love the Tridents, love the story out there, 26-4. They should be a lock. They should not be on the bubble if they do stumble in the conference tournament to Irvine or Northridge. This team should be easily in with the way that they have just dominated, and they backed it up when they went in the non-con and got those wins that I already listed. Coming in right now, winners of 11 in a row. 10 out of the 11 are by like 20 plus. I mean, they're beating the shit out of teams. So love the Tridents out there in the Big West. Speaking of teams that have just beat the shit out of everybody, the wagon of wagons located in the great city of Richmond, where I'm located, the Rams. I think I've been at like 3 or 4 of these games. And listen, man, I thought VCU was good. But when I went and watched them up close and personal, I guess is what they say, the UMass game, the Richmond game, this team is a legitimate second weekend team, and that's not an exaggeration. They have that VCU defensive brand paired with an offensive identity that Ryan Odom has brought from his Utah State and UMBC days. Shulga is awesome. I always butcher his name. Bam Lasillo is awesome as well. They have bigs, they have size, they have depth in the front court. Zeb Jackson, he's a veteran as well. They're old. They share the ball. They make shots from all 4 positions. Their 5-man is bouncy. It's this is a fun team if you have not watched VCU, and they should be a lock in my opinion as well. They shouldn't have to win the A10 tournament. Crazy things happen in March. Upsets happen. Love VCU. Love Ryan Odom. We'll see if old Ryan Odom's on his way to either Charlottesville or somewhere else potentially, but as of right now, man, let's just continue to ride this VCU wagon as they come in winners of 8 in a row, hold a 1-game lead. They got at Duquesne and Dayton to finish. I'm going to go to that game Friday night against Dayton, I think, to watch them cut down the nets for another A10 title. So shout out to the Rams and my neighbors of the Siegel Center. All right. We'll talk about some struggling teams on the other side because there are a couple teams struggling in this top 25. But first, let's shout out our sponsor, Gear Up for March with Merch Madness. Promo code Madness for 20% off in the SGPN store. Get in before the promo code is done. If you like this sick-ass hat, camo, get on over there and get it today. We're also brought to you by Edge Boost. Edge Boost is partnered with SGPN, the premier Visa betting for better bettors. An Edge Boost card allows you to avoid the hassle of having your card denied at the sportsbook. Nobody fucking wants that. Sweepstake, DFS, you name it. Plus, you can earn up to $750 per month in cashback rewards. Sign up today and use the promo code SGPN so you can get better cashback rewards and instant Tier 2 status. I love Edge Boost because I can get down on college hoops whenever I want. That is EdgeBoost.bet, promo code SGPN. That's EdgeBoost.bet, promo code SGPN. And if you've been following us all year, we are brought to you by MyBookie. MyBookie, the OG sponsor of the Sports Gambling Podcast and College Experience, is your favorite place to bet on sports. Get down on some actions. It accepts customers from a ton of different locations, easily depositable and lightning fast payouts using crypto. Get on over there and use our promo code TCESGPN and do so over at mybookie.ag. That's TCESGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. That's mybookie.ag, promo code TCESGPN. All righty, we are back over here. Cheers, everybody. Catch my breath. All right, number 18. This team is playing like ass. I'm not going to lie to you guys. They've lost 4 in a row, and they're still in my top 25 because 2 weeks ago they were basically a 2 seed in March. Texas A&M has taken it on the chin and more over the last 2 weeks. Losers of 4 in a row. They lost to Florida, Vandy, Tennessee, Mississippi State. They're leaking oil here, guys. 9-7 in the league, struggling mighty offensively, and a little bit honestly defensively as well. They got veterans. It's been. I did not see this coming to lose 4 in a row with all these vets. Wade Taylor, Payne, Phelps, Phelps and Coleman and those guys at core, but they have lacked consistency this year. Dropping back-to-back home games was alarming. Tennessee and Vandy, I know those are good teams, but still, you would think at least with A&M in College Station, they would get one of them. I had them at around 10 last week, so I dropped them to 18, 8 spots, but definitely a team that's trending in the wrong direction headed into March. But we've seen this before with Buzz. We'll see if they can right the ship. They just got blown out in Florida. I don't put too much into that. Florida's a wagon, but still, they've been disappointing, and I have the Aggies at 18. All right, number 17, the Voodoo Magic ended today. Michigan and all their close wins. They didn't have a close win today. They got absolutely housed by Illinois by 20 at home. Illinois finally made some threes. But, I mean, still, I don't think you overreact to one game. Michigan's still 22-7, 14-4. I know they have been the luckiest team in the Big Ten with all these close wins, winning on a miracle. Hail Mary 3 the other night from Burnett to beat Rutgers, but still, 22-7 is 22-7. They got an identity with Wolf and Golden in the front court. They're going to be an interesting matchup. Dusty May, year number 1. I mean, I'm trying to see, is there another one above him? No. So just think about some of these first-year head coaches this year, guys, that are doing great jobs. Dusty May at Michigan. On this list, we also got Kevin Young at BYU, Mark Pope at Kentucky, Pat Kelsey at Louisville. We have Mark Byington not on this list at Vanderbilt. They're going to go to the dance. Darren DeVries at West Virginia. The Mountaineers are going to go dancing from where they were last year. So first-year head coaches in this day and age, man, have done an unbelievable job flipping these programs right away. And what Dusty May has done, and obviously he signed the contract extension. He's going to be there for the long haul. And Michigan's got the right guy leading this program. Disappointing day today against the Illini, but still 22-7. They're easily going to be a 4 or 5 seed come that bracket in 2 weeks. All right, number 16, another team that also just had a 4-game losing streak snapped. Boiler up. They beat UCLA. They only had one game this week. They beat UCLA by 10. Braden Smith and company. Big win. They had to have that game like blood. Trey Kaufman-Wren's been awesome. Fletcher Lawyer. Just a core group that just doesn't beat themselves. They're not sexy. They're not great, but they're Purdue. And 16 is a perfect spot for Purdue just because they're going to be a 4 seed in March. They may lose in the first round for all I know. But this has just been another solid year for Matt Painter and company. Another 20-win season. Everything Indiana, the Hoosier fans want to be, is what resides in West Lafayette. So a tip of the cap to the consistency of Purdue. Lose Zach Edey. Still, you're not even playing that well, and you're 20-9, waking up March 2nd, headed into the final week. They finished with Rutgers and Illinois. Let's say they split that 21-10. They get another one in the Big Ten tournament, maybe 2. 22-23 wins going into March Madness. It's just a good program. It's a great program, and 16 is a perfect spot for the Boilermakers. Speaking of great programs, what if I told you St. Mary's lost Jefferson to Iowa State, they lost Mahaney to UConn, and they got better. They won 27-4 this year. This has been an unbelievable job by Randy Bennett. They run through the fucking WCC. They sweep Gonzaga. They win the game, or they win the league by multiple games. They only lose one game to San Fran by 1 point. In my opinion, this is the best St. Mary's team that we've had. They have an identity. They're super big. They play for one another. They're under the radar. Mitchell Saxton, I feel like he's been there for about 27 years. Marcellonis is awesome. Marchkauskas is great as well. I said this the other night. Gonzaga used to face this, what St. Mary's going through, where they were good, but it's like, oh, they can't win in March. They can't get to the second weekend. They can't get to the Final Four. Then they did it. San Diego State the same way. Oh, they're just a good regular season team. It's cute, blah, blah, blah. Then next thing you know, they're in the national championship 2 years ago, Sweet 16 last year. It's time for St. Mary's to make that run, in my opinion. This program has been so damn good for the last decade plus, and you keep knocking on the door, you're eventually going to knock that bitch down. And I think St. Mary's is on the cusp of maybe going on a run this year where they get to a Final Four and take this program and just the way we look at them, the Gales, to another level. So love this team, a lot of respect. Like I said, they lost Mahaney to UConn, Jefferson to Iowa State, and what do? They reload. They go 27-4. So really good team, good culture, lot of respect out there in the West. All right, another team that's playing really good basketball everything I said about Louisville, I say the same thing about Clemson, but Clemson's better than Louisville just because they are more physical and they have more size. Lockett in the front court, Shiflin in the Shiflin in the front court. Love that 1-2 punch. Love the Hunter brothers as well. And I just think this team is an identity. They went to the Elite Eight last year. Yeah, they lost the big fella, but they replaced him with Lock-in. Brad Brownell, quietly, 24-5, 16-2. They have the tiebreaker with Duke. So if Duke does stumble, I know they lost to Louisville. So ultimately, I think Louisville would get the 1 seed if Duke stumbles this week. But just to be 1 game back, Clemson's been an unbelievable story. It's a shame for them that they lost that Georgia Tech game in triple overtime, because they would be the 1 seed if they had not lost that game, because they beat Duke head-to-head. And that wasn't a fluke when they beat Duke. They were the better team that night. They outplayed them. They were more physical. They had the lead for a majority of the game, and it was just a big-time win. So, this is a legitimate Sweet 16 team, maybe even an Elite 8 team again. And Clemson's just a team that it's a good basketball team. Doesn't beat themselves, shares the ball. Big fan of this program as well. All right, Maryland is at number 13 for me. The Terps, tough one last week, man. They had Sparty, came all the way back, got the thing tied up, and then they make the half-court shot. But still, great year for Kevin Willard, 22-7. They bounced back with a nice win at Penn State. They got 2 more games against Michigan and Northwestern. The Michigan game is going to be interesting on Wednesday, just because I think Maryland's better than Michigan, but Michigan needs that game to stay in the hunt for the Big Ten title. But I mean, Maryland may have the best starting 5 in America. With those guys in the front court, Queen and Reese, and the guards have been really good. The Terps are good. Sweet 16 type team as well. It's a good group, good identity, and they continue to roll. So I got them at number 13. At number 12, I got the Missouri Tigers. They lose a tough one on Saturday at Vandy, but everybody loses to Vandy. 10-6, 21-8 overall. Dennis Gates continues to do a great rebuilding job off last year's debacle. Great story. They hit a home run in the portal. Mark Mitchell, Tamar Bates, Anthony Robinson, Tony Perkins. They got guys that fit. It's just another team that's tough, long, can switch everything, and they play for their coach. So Missouri, another team that I wouldn't want to see them on the bracket as they continue to just keep winning games. So they're already clinched a winning record in the SEC, the best league in America this year. They finished with Oklahoma and Kentucky this week. I mean, imagine if they go 12-6, 23-8. They're in line for a top 4 seed in the bracket. Just an unbelievable job by Dennis Gates and a nice bounce back here. Number 11, Wisconsin. Wisconsin had a tough loss today, but I mean, that was in East Lansing. I think that says more about how good Michigan State is in Sparty. But you look at Wisconsin, best offensive team by far under Greg Gard. John Tonji is a stud. That's what I like about Wisconsin this year. Not only can they score, but they also have a star in Tonji, a legit All-American, in my opinion. You got Blackwell, you got Klesmith, who was banged up, Crowell. They have an identity. I love Wisconsin. And I think this is legitimately Greg Gard's best team since, I don't know. Maybe the bubble. Maybe 4 or 5 years. This is a good team. And if you just blindly say, oh, they can't score because they're a bunch of white guys and they play slow, this is a different type of Wisconsin team. They play fast. They're good in transition. And I think Wisconsin could go deep in the dance this year. All right, let's talk top 10 on the other side. But first, let's get paid because we got to talk to you about Rhythm. Rhythm is throwing an epic March Madness party, and you're invited. All Rhythm users are invited, so get on over there. Free drinks and more. And it gets better. Rhythm is giving away a $250 March Madness future on one random lucky Rhythm event winner. Head over to 7-day free trial today by going over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com. So that's RITHMM. And it's a free party, plus a chance to win $250 in a future bet. So get on over there to the sportsgamblingpodcast.com/party. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/party. We are also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You guys know the drill. TCESGPN is the promo code. They got props. They got everything. You can set entry on top of entry, build it up there. And they're going to have March Madness stuff all fucking March Madness, all March long. So get on over there. Claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus credits. That's the underdogfantasy.com promo code TCESGPN. Okay. Back here, top 10 here, and Texas Tech is a wagon. They're at number 10. They got healthy. Texas Tech goes to the Fog yesterday, takes care of business, better team from the get-go. Probably would have beat Houston if they were fully healthy. Probably would have swept them. But, I mean, it is what it is. They didn't have those guys, but they got Darren Williams back yesterday. They got Chance McMillan back. This team is 8 guys deep. They have an identity. It's a really good offensive team. Whatever I'm going to say about them, I'm going to say the same shit about Iowa State. Texas Tech, Final Four good. I don't know if they may have the highest upside in the Big 12, them or Iowa State. You take your pick. But I love this Texas Tech team under Grant McCasland, year number 2. Fun team. Watch out for them in Kansas City here next week in the Big 12 tourney, and watch out for them if you get them in your bracket. This team can run through a bracket and get all the way to San Antonio this year. Iowa State can too, because Iowa State is fully healthy for the first time in a month. Here, back comes Jefferson, back comes Gilbert, Momchulovic, everybody's back, and all of a sudden they blow out Arizona and they look like the Iowa State from November and December. Iowa State, in my opinion, is the best team in the Big 12 when they're healthy. They're healthy now again, finally. They are super physical, and this year they can really score the ball with Gilbert and Jones back. So got their 1-2 punches, got their horses back. Last year, they brought back 4 guys to average in double figures from a Sweet 16 team. This is a team that I think can honestly win the whole damn thing. So I'm pumped for Otzelberger and company this month. I think that they're peaking at the right time, getting all those guys back. Number 8, the Johnnies of St. John's. Winners of the Big East for the first time in 40 years, 4 decades. Shout out to the Johnnies. 26-4, 17-2 in league play. They finish at Marquette on Saturday. The mini bye comes at a good time for the Johnnies. They get a week off here, get guys like R.J. Lewis, Kadari Richmond healthy. I know Ejiofor's a little banged up. I know some people are like, they can't win because they can't make shots. Fuck that. They got Rick Pitino. They got an identity. They can dominate. They can suffocate you. They can beat you up on the glass. They can drag you into the mud. They can play fast with their press. They can generate offense from their defense. So I completely disagree with the notion that St. John's can't win it all. Completely false in my opinion. This team is awesome. They have an identity, and they have Rick Pitino, the best coach in the sport. Maybe the second best coach in the sport is Tom Izzo. How about this Michigan State team, man? 24-5, 15-3. They struggle to make shots too, but it don't matter. They go 9-10 deep. They're a throwback team. They have a different star every night. This team is deep in the front court. They're starting to make shots because they're playing with more and more confidence. I like Atkins. I like Holloman. Fears and Richardson's turning into an absolute stud. He might be a top 10 pick in the draft next year. I like their big men up front. Kohler, he's kind of just like a throwback Izzo guy. This is a fun fucking team. And they got 10 quad 1 wins. This is beyond just a nice story. This team is a legitimate Final Four national championship contender. Love Izzo. And it's Izzo time, too. So whatever you think about Sparty, they're probably going to win another game just because they have Tom Izzo. So interested to see if they can finish the job this week. They go to Iowa, and then they get Michigan in the second rematch spot for the Big Ten title. I think Sparty closes this thing out this week and wins another Big Ten title for Mr. Big Ten himself, Tom Izzo. At number 6, I got the Alabama Crimson Tide. Alabama actually played well on Saturday. I actually thought they should have won the basketball game. They made shots. They just couldn't finish that game. Turnovers, missed free throws. Alabama, I mean, they've been solid. Maybe a little bit of a letdown in terms of what preseason expectations were for them. I think the expectation was that they were going to be on the level of what Auburn has been. But I think you can't take away still 23-6, 12-4. They have lost 3 out of the last 5, but they're not as good as Auburn. That's reality. They're not as tough as Auburn. But they are still really goddamn good. And if they get a good draw like they did last year. I mean, they're a tough team to match up with the way they can space you, penetrate and pitch, put you in rotation. Sears has been there, done that, made big shots in March, whether it's here or whether it's at Alabama or Ohio. Grant Nelson's played in big game. Cliff provides some rim protection. Alabama's just a solid team, and I think that they will have a shot to get to the Final Four, but it's pending matchups. Another team that's a freaking wagon, and they are getting healthier and healthier. That is the Florida Gators. They did trip up this week. They lost to Georgia. Shout out to the Bulldogs of Georgia, getting that thing done and getting their resume right this week with wins at Texas and against Florida. But anyway, back to Florida. Florida's 25-4, 12-4. I would argue maybe Florida could be the best team in the country, but they have tripped up in a couple spots. They've went to the jungle and won. They've beaten the best of the best. This is a really good team, really good guards. If you're looking for a team that's got good size and got good guards, this is a good team. They ran through the non-con. Walter Clayton's a stud, Elijah Martin, Will Richard, and then those 4 or 5 bigs that they just keep throwing at you. This is a legitimate national championship contender as well. Love the Gators and Todd Golden, year number 3. At number 4, this team just keeps on winning. I think we underestimate them every year, and I know they've had a couple tough March Madness exits, but not last year. I mean, they went all the way to the Elite Eight and almost beat Purdue. If it wasn't for a very favorable whistle for Zach Edey and company, they lose Dalton Connect, but who gives a shit? This is Tennessee. They are 24-5. They got Ole Miss on the road, then they got South Carolina. They're probably going to win both of those. They're probably going to finish 26-5, get a 1 seed in March. Tennessee. This is Barnes' best team there. They have an identity defensively. Ziegler and Lanier in the backcourt are awesome. Milicic in the front court. Obviously, they're going to be super physical because they're a Rick Barnes team defensively. This is a really, really goddamn good team. So Ziegler and company, they've had a couple March heartbreakers. Watch out for the Vols come next month. And don't be surprised if we see them in San Antonio come next month as a 1 seed. All right. At number 3, everybody's favorite team, Duke. Duke had a good week. They beat up on Florida State and Miami, the Florida schools. They're 17-1 in the ACC, 26-3 overall. They got a big week coming up here. So the schedule's going to pick up here again and get real. They've kind of, outside of Illinois, they've kind of had a really cupcake city schedule, to be honest. Clemson was a nice, they lost that game. But they have 1 NCAA tournament win since the new calendar year. That's going to change this week when they play Wake and North Carolina. I guess those aren't NCAA tournament teams, but those are bubble teams by the committee. And then they're going to play in the ACC tournament. So, Duke is playing really good basketball. Flag got banged up for a minute there. They're as talented as anybody. The question for Duke is, and I said it over and over again, when they play a team from the SEC, Big 12, that's been going through the gauntlet here, and all the pressure's on Duke, the game gets hard late in the game. How does the young group respond? How does John Shire respond in a round of 32 in the Sweet 16 against an underseeded Big 12 or SEC team that's gone through their gauntlets that are more battle-proof tested? So Duke, most talented roster in the country. Nobody's arguing that. I have them at number 3 just because they look the part, and they're a really good team. But I think we've gone a little far on crowning them a national champion or being the best team in college basketball. I disagree on that, but they still are a wagon right now. And what I said with Clemson, Louisville, all you can do is beat who the fuck's in front of you. So they have done that, and so kudos to Duke. I had Houston jump Duke this week. And that's because Houston is 17-1 in the Big 12. And they've ran the table on the road. They go to Texas Tech. They've won at the Fog. They've won in Arizona. They have 3 losses they have 4 losses on the year. Texas Tech, San Diego State, Alabama, and Auburn. 3 out of the 4 are in overtime. They led the game for majority against Auburn, the number 1 team in the country. Alabama, they led for majority of that game and then lost at the very end in overtime. So 3 out of their 4 losses are in overtime. Houston, like I told Beanick, Houston is underrated nationally for what they're doing right now. Yeah, they've caught some breaks with the Big 12 schedule, catching Big 12 teams that are banged up. But like I said with Duke and those other teams, you got to beat who's in front of you. They have 3 losses, and 3 out of their 4 losses are in overtime. And they're 17-1 in the Big 12. This is a fun team. Uzon has really stepped into that shed role. They got 3 guys at the guard position that are shooting over 40% from 3, Cryer, Sharp, and Uzon. And then obviously in the front court with Roberts and company. And they're way healthier at this point last year than they were, or right now than they were last year. Last year they were banged up in the front court with Francis and company. So Houston, I've seen people say they can't win a national championship. I strongly disagree. I definitely think Houston can win a national championship. And I thought they might have won it last year if Shed had not blown out his ankle in the Duke game. So Kelvin Sampson and company continue to roll. And that caps it off with number 1. And, I mean, if you're arguing that this team isn't number 1, I think you're just either an Alabama bias fan or maybe you're a Duke fan. Auburn is by far the number 1 team in the country. And I don't even think I already think they have the number 1 seed overall in the brackets locked up. They could lose out, and I think they might be the number 1 overall seed. They have 15 quad 1 wins this year. They've beaten everybody. They've already wrapped up the SEC regular season title. This team is historic good. And some people have said that this may be the best SEC or best conference ever. Well, Auburn's gone 17 and goddamn won it. And they lost in their non-con at Duke in a 5-point game at Cameron, which is a tough place to win at. So Auburn is by far the number 1 team in the country. If Duke had played at the Jungle, Auburn would have beat Duke's ass. If they played on a neutral, I think Auburn would beat Duke. The game was at Duke, so Duke wins. Now that makes the Florida win even more impressive that they were able to go into the Jungle. But Auburn, best team in the country. Broome, in my opinion, Broome should be the national player of the year. Pettiford's been awesome. Mazar's awesome. Cardwell. I mean, they could beat you in the mud. They could beat you up and down. They could beat you in the jungle. This is just a fun team. So Auburn, definitely number 1. They're going to be number 1 till Selection Sunday. And we'll see if they can finish the job here. Going into March. All right. That does it. I blabbered here for another 40 minutes here. Shout out to the chat. You guys were alive and well. I'm sorry I did not get to you, but we're about to start the preview and picks episode. So I'm going to shut this stream down, and I'll see you guys over there for Monday's picks. Little slate, good slate. We got the ASUN quarterfinals this week, guys. Here, I got the schedule right here. We got tournaments beginning this week. Sunbelt, Patriot, and Horizon would begin on Tuesday. Wednesday, OVC, Northeast, Big South, and the Summit all begin on Wednesday. Thursday, the Missouri Valley and WCC play. Friday, the Colonial and the SoCon begin. Saturday, the America East and the Big Sky begin. Southland begins on Sunday, and then all the other big leagues begin next week. So we'll have you covered. We're going to break down each and every one of those conferences. We only did one last night. That was the ASUN. We're not going to do any tonight because no new ones start tomorrow. We'll do 3 tomorrow and then 4 on Tuesday. But we'll do Monday's picks, and let's go, everybody. All right. Let's shut this thing down. How do I get myself? There we go. Very professional on this show. That's all I got, guys. Make sure you subscribe. Pre-game show every day this week. 6 o'clock Eastern, preview and pick show. And maybe we'll bring you guys some more content. So, I even shaved for you guys. I got to cut my hair today. I'm ready for the madness, baby. I finally fucking shook off that goddamn cold or whatever, the flu, whatever the hell was going through me since that UMass VCU game that I caught sitting behind UMass bench while they were going through the bugs. So feeling like $1 million headed into March. So that's all I got, guys. I'll see you over at the preview and picks for Monday. I am at Moneyline_Mac. This is the college basketball experience, and this has been Mac Tonight. Mac Tonight signing off here for about 2 minutes. See you over there. You better start thinking about yours. And we are out of here. Cheers, guys.